Greetings, beautiful people. Let's explore the social sciences together. My name is Amira Sims, and I'll be your instructor for this course. My educational background is that I earned both my bachelor's and master's degree from Valdosta State University, and my area of emphasis was in clinical and counseling psychology. I'm currently pursuing a doctorate degree in psychology with an emphasis in educational psychology. My experience is that I worked as a clinician at the end of my master's program and immediately after graduation. I've always wanted to teach, so I started substitute teaching as an undergraduate student, and then as a graduate student I started guest lecturing, and immediately after graduating with my master's I became an adjunct professor. I did that for more than 10 years, and eventually I landed a full-time position as a psychology professor, and that's what I'm currently doing. So in addition to working at Southern New Hampshire University as an adjunct, I also work as a full-time professor at an institution in the southeastern United States. As far as my personal life goes, I'm a mother of 4. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. My boys are older and my girls are younger. I enjoy spending time with family. I like reading, writing. I consider myself a spoken word artist, so I share poetry at open mics, and I feature it at a few places in Atlanta and also in Northern California. In addition to reading and writing, I also like designing and gardening and traveling. I'm interested in getting to know more about people, even if I consider myself somewhat of a hermit. SCS 100, Social Science Perspectives. This is an 8-week course designed to introduce you to the social sciences. Think of this class as an appetizer. Your exposure to the various disciplines that make up the social sciences is but an introduction to the many different main courses. So think of this class, like I said, as just kind of like you're just getting your feet wet. So we're mainly focusing on psychology, sociology, and anthropology in this course, but there are many other social sciences such as geography, political science, archaeology, just to name a few. And even within the disciplines that we're focusing on, such as psychology, sociology, and anthropology, you could go into much more depth by taking a particular course on one aspect of that discipline. So I teach social psychology, and social psychology is kind of a sweet spot between personality psychology and sociology. So in a social psychology course, we talk about things like cults and aggression and attraction and intimacy, and we focus on those topics in a lot more depth. But in this class, we're going to be taking kind of a step back and just getting a quick overview of the social sciences. So what are you going to learn? Okay, this class is divided into 8 modules. So each week you have a different module that allows you to explore the topic in further detail. So in week 1, we look at introduction to the social sciences. In week 2, we look at objective versus subjective observations. Week 3, exploring human and societal behavior. Week 4, individual behaviors. Week 5, the evolution of understanding. Week 6, modern themes and trends. Week 7, from social understanding to social change. And week 8, the value of social science. Week 1, Module 1. So as you open up the module, you'll find that there is a lot of information available to you. What I find is sometimes students rush to the assignments without reading the articles or watching the videos, and that's kind of a big mistake. It's a good idea to preview the assignments and to see what's expected of you, but in order to fully answer the questions or complete the assignments, you're going to need to refer back to the information that's in the module. Okay, so 1-1 is discussion, the value of social scientific questions. And even though asking questions seems like something that's commonplace and something we do every day, that's true to an extent. But when you ask questions the social scientific way, there are some guidelines. So if you read the information that's available in Module 1, that will help you with crafting questions that align with how a social scientist might ask the question. 1-2 is a quiz, and the quiz is trying to assess your understanding of the difference between psychology, sociology, and anthropology. And very briefly, psychology studies the individual, sociology studies the group, and anthropology studies culture. 1-3 is not a graded assignment, but it's presents you with the projects in this class, so project reviews. And the projects are worth quite a bit of points, so it's a good idea to become very familiar with what the requirements are for those projects. 1-4 activity for advertisements. In this assignment, you will simply be listing the 4 advertisements that you plan to use for completing 1-5. So you were given a list of advertisements in module 1, and you can select 4 advertisements from that list and decide which ones you want to use, and that's what you're going to submit for a 1-4 activity. Now you can do this by creating a Word document or typing in the space available, or even uploading the template and just including the 4 advertisement titles in the top space on the template. 1-5 activity is a comparison template draft. Now you're going to be submitting this draft in week 2 with it completely filled out. But in week 1, you're going to simply select 2 of the 4 advertisements that you're going to be analyzing, and you include those 2 advertisements on the template draft, and then you ask questions about these 2 advertisements, and then you fill out the rest of the sections as well. All right, and then in 1-6, this is a quiz on the scientific method. Okay, so there's a total of 1,000 points in this class, and in week 1, you can earn up to 120 points. That's 8% of your total grade. So if you're in this class mainly because you want to, get one step closer to earning your degree, then it's worth it for you to be mindful of the points in the class. I care about learning and teaching and educating. I don't really care about grades. I care about grades to the extent that I want to help you reach your goal. So I really encourage you to take responsibility for these assignments. Now, to earn full credit on each assignment, you're going to need to review the rubrics that are provided for you. Now, there's no rubric for 1-4 because you're simply listing the 4 advertisements that you're using. But there is a rubric that tells you about the difference between a substantive and a non-substantive discussion post. And there's also a rubric associated with the 1-5 activity as well. So I would say really look over those rubrics to make sure you're either meeting or exceeding what's expected of you for each of those assignments. So you can see the list here. You can earn 40 points for posting your initial response to the discussion on Thursday, by Thursday, and then responding to 2 peers by Sunday. And when you respond to peers, these responses should add to the discussion. It shouldn't just be, I agree with you, or I disagree with you, or I like what you said. You should integrate information from the modules. You should show that you know what you're talking about. And then you get 20 points for each of the additional assignments for week 1. So the 3 major branches of the social sciences that we're exploring in week 1, and pretty much for the duration of this course, are psychology, sociology, and anthropology. So think of it as putting on a different pair of glasses. When you're putting on glasses, a psychologist's glasses, you care about studying the individual. What makes people act the way they act? What makes people think the way they think? Okay? If you put on the glasses of a sociologist, they're less concerned with the individual and more concerned with groups. Sociologists want to say, they ask the question, why does a society behave the way it does? Why does this group differ from this group? And then an anthropologist, they're more concerned about culture. They think culture is the lifeblood of, what makes the world go round. So anthropologist, when you put on the glasses of an anthropologist, you're focusing on culture. Psychology. So this is my favorite because this is, what I decided to study in school. And I'm giving you some information from APA, the American Psychological Association. And as you can see, there's a link here for you to follow if you want to learn a little bit more about psychology. So psychological science is the study of mind and behavior and their biological foundations. It includes basic research with humans and other animals, as well as applied and translational research that seeks to improve the health and well-being of individuals, groups, and societies. Psychological scientists use a broad range of research methods and often work collaboratively with scientists and other disciplines. Sociology, another discipline that fascinates me. Confession, I've never taken a sociology class as an undergraduate student. I have taken sociology classes as a graduate student, and I've taught introduction to sociology, but sociology and psychology are different. Now, I teach social psychology, and often in teaching social psychology, there's an overlap between social psychology and sociology. So this is another discipline that I've included some links for you to find out a little bit more information. You can go to the American Sociological Association, or you can watch these 2 short videos on doing sociology by Jose Caldron and Dustin Kidd. Anthropology, a topic that I'm so fascinated by, and I wish I had more time to really delve deep into anthropology. I have taught cultural psychology in the past, many years ago, and we relied on a lot of information from anthropologists. So anthropology is the study of humans, past and present, to understand the full sweep and complexity of cultures across all of human history. Anthropology draws and builds upon knowledge from the social and biological sciences, as well as the humanities and physical sciences. Asking questions the social science way. So the sample topic is transportation, and we're going to ask questions on 3 different levels: as a psychologist, a sociologist, and an anthropologist. If you've already completed 1-1, I'd like for you to compare the questions you pose with the questions provided in this slide. If you haven't completed 1-1, pay close attention to the wording in these questions and also the point of view, the focus. Okay, so a psychologist might ask, what causes road rage in drivers? Or what motivates individuals to take public transportation? A sociologist might ask, how do modes of transportation differ between urban, suburban, and rural populations? And how do demographics influence an individual's car selection? Anthropology, is there a mode of transportation that is more preferable among certain cultures? And how do cultures adopt new modes of transportation? A note from the instructor. Psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Real-world applications of information gleaned from the field of psychology include, but is not limited to, tips about parenting practices, preventing bullying, successful aging, selling products, improving mental health, and personal development. To get the most out of this class, imagine how you use information you learned about the social sciences in your personal and professional life. Whenever possible, identify how the social sciences have shaped the world we live in. Okay, so I've created a very brief Doodoo list for you. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Doodoo list is a DO/DUE list. So what do you have to do? What action do you have to take in order to meet your due date? Okay, so by Thursday, you have to post your first discussion, and then all other assignments are due by Sunday. It is strongly encouraged that you complete the first quiz by Wednesday, but if you don't finish it until Sunday, you will not be penalized. I've included a do-do list that allows you to have Saturday to yourself, and Sunday you could reply to 2 peers if you didn't do that earlier in the week. But notice if you break it up, you can spread out the work so that you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting at one time. Additional resources include apa.org, the slideshow with Ali Matu, Crash Course, and Crash Course has a psychology version and a sociology version, and then TED.com. Okay, so the final slide, some common questions, comments, and concerns. First, etiquette. Show respect for your classmates and yourself. When you're typing on the discussion board, keep in mind there's someone on the other end of the screen. Substantive posts. Make sure you're contributing to the learning environment. The late policy. You have 7 days from the due date to submit assignments, and then there's a 10% late penalty if you submit after midnight on the due date. So even though you have up to 7 days, the 10% remains the same whether you submit it 2 days late, 3 days late, or 7 days late. After 7 days, you forfeit your the points. You don't earn points on that assignment anymore. For learning, accept responsibility for your effort and your grade in this class. Often students will email me and they're so concerned about their grade. Well, if you're concerned about your grade, then put in the work. I'm here to help you understand the information. I'm here to give you guidance as far as resources that might also help you to succeed in the class, but I can't do the work for you. So please accept responsibility for your effort and your grade. If you have questions that are relevant for the entire class, please use the questions thread. And if you have a question that's personal in nature, just email me at a.sims@snhu.edu.